The Vedanta philosophy, part 2. According to the Sankhya philosophy, the reactive state of the mind called buddhi or intellect is the outcome, the change, or a certain manifestation of the Mahat or cosmic mind. The Mahat becomes changed into vibrating thought, and that becomes in one part changed into the organs and in the other part into the fine particles of matter. Out of the combination of all these, the whole of this universe is produced. Behind even Mahat, the Sankhya conceives of a certain state which is called avyakta or unmanifested, where even the manifestation of mind is not present, but only the causes exist. It is also called Prakriti. Beyond this Prakriti, the eternally separate from it is the Purusha, the soul of the Sankhya, which is without attributes and omnipresent. The Purusha is not the doer but the witness. The illustration of the crystal is used to explain the Purusha. The latter is said to be like a crystal without any color, before which different colors are placed, and then it seems to be colored by the colors before it, but in reality it is not. The Vedantists reject the Sankhya ideas of the soul and nature. They claim that between them there is a huge gulf to be bridged over. On the one hand, the Sankhya system continues to nature, and then at once it has to jump over to the other side and come to the soul, which is entirely separate from nature. How can these different colors, as the Sankhya calls them, be able to act on that soul which by its nature is colorless? So the Vedantists from the very first affirm of this soul and this nature are one. Even dualist Vedantists admit that the Atma or God is not only the efficient cause of this universe but also the material cause. But they only say so in so many words. They do not really mean it, for they try to escape from their conclusions in this way. They say that there are three existences in this universe: God, soul, and nature. Nature and soul are, as it were, the body of God, and in this sense it may be said that God and the whole universe are one. But this nature and all these various souls remain different from each other through all eternity. Only at the beginning of the cycle do they become manifest, and when the cycle ends, they become fine and remain in a fine state. The Advaita Vedantists, the non-dualists, reject this theory of the soul, and having nearly the whole range of the Upanishads in their favor, build their philosophy entirely upon them. All the books contained in me, Upanishads, have one subject, one task before them: to prove the following theme. Just as by the knowledge of one lump of clay we have the knowledge of all the clay in the universe, so what is that, knowing which we know everything in the universe? The idea of the Advaitists is to generalize the whole universe into one. That's something which is really the whole of the universe. And they claim that this whole universe is one, but it is one being manifested itself or manifesting itself in all these various forms. They admit that what the Sankhya calls nature exists, but say that nature is God. It is this being, the Sat, which has become converted into all this: the universe, man, soul, and everything that exists. Mind and Mahat are but the manifestations of that one Sat. But then the difficulty arises that this would be pantheism. How came that Sat, which is unchangeable, as they admit, for that which is absolute is unchangeable, to be changed into that which is changeable and perishable? The Advaitists here have a theory which they call Vivartavada, or apparent manifestation. According to the dualists and the Sankhyas, the whole of this universe is the evolution of primal nature. According to some of the Advaitists and some of the dualists, the whole of this universe is evolved from God. And according to the Advaitists proper, the followers of Shankaracharya, the whole universe is the apparent evolution of God. God is the material cause of this universe, but not really, only apparently. The celebrated illustration used is that of the rope and the snake, where the rope appeared to be the snake, but was not really so. The rope did not really change into the snake. Even so, this whole universe as it exists is that being. It is unchanged, and all the changes we see in it are only apparent. These changes are caused by desha, kala, and nimitta, space, time, and causation, or according to the higher psychological generalization, by nama and rupa, name and form. It is by name and form that one thing is differentiated from another. The name and form alone cause the difference. In reality, they are one and the same. Again, it is not, the Vedantists say, that there is something as phenomenon and something as noumenon. The rope is changed into a snake apparently only, and when the delusion ceases, the snake vanishes. When one is in ignorance, he sees the phenomena and does not see God. When he sees God, this universe vanishes entirely for him. Ignorance, or Maya as it is called, is the cause of absolute zero nor non-existence. It is defined as neither existence nor non-existence. It is not existence because that can be said only of the absolute, the unchangeable, and in this sense, Maya is non-existence. Again, it cannot be said it is non-existence, for if it were, it could never produce phenomena. So it is something which is neither, and in the Vedanta philosophy, it is called anirvachaniya or inexpressible. Maya then is the real cause of this universe. Maya gives the name and form to what Brahma or God gives the material, and the latter seems to have been transformed into all this. The Advaitis then have no place for the individual soul. They say individual souls are created by Maya. In reality, they cannot exist. If there were only one existence throughout, how could it be that I am one and you are one and so forth? We are all one, and the cause of evil is the perception of duality. As soon as I begin to feel that I am separate from this universe, then first comes fear and then comes misery. Where one hears another, one sees another, that is small. Where one does not see another, where one does not hear another, that is the greatest, that is God, and in that greatest is perfect happiness. In small things there is no happiness. According to the Advaita philosophy, then, this differentiation of matter, these phenomena are as it were for a time hiding the real nature of man. But the latter really has not been changed at all. In the lowest worm as well as in the highest human being, the same divine nature is present. The worm form is the lower form in which the divinity has been more overshadowed by Maya. That is the highest form in which it has been least overshadowed. Behind everything, the same divinity is existing, and out of this comes the basis of morality. Do not injure another. Love everyone as your own self, because the whole universe is one. In injuring another, I am injuring myself. In loving another, I am loving myself. From this also springs that principle of Advaita morality, which has been summed up in one word, self-abnegation. The Advaitist says, this little personalized self is the cause of all my misery. This individualized self, which makes me different from all other beings, brings hatred and jealousy and misery, struggle, and all other evils. And when this idea has been got rid of, all struggles will cease, all misery vanish. So this is to be given up. We must always hold ourselves ready, even to give up our lives for the lowest beings. When a man has become ready even to give up his life for the little insect, he has reached the perfection which the Advaitists want to attain. And at that moment, when he has become thus ready, the wheel of ignorance falls away from him and he will feel his own nature. Even in this life, he will feel that he is one with the universe. For a time, as it were, the whole of this phenomenal world will disappear for him, and he will realize that he is what he is. But so long as the karma of this body remains, he will have to live. This state, when the wheel has vanished and yet the body remains for some time, is what the Vedantist call the Jivan Mukti, the living freedom. If a man is deluded by a mirage for some time and one day the mirage disappears, if it comes back again the next day or at some future time, he will not be deluded. Before the mirage first broke, the man could not distinguish between the reality and the deception. But when it has once broken, as long as he has organs and eyes to work with, he will see the image but will no more be deluded. That fine distinction between the actual world and mirage he has caught, and the latter cannot delude him anymore. So when the Vedantist has realized his own nature, the whole world has vanished for him. It will come back again, but no more the same world of misery. The prison of misery has become changed into Sat Chit Ananda, existence absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. And the attainment of this goal is the goal of the Advaita philosophy. The above address was delivered before the Graduate Philosophical Society of Harvard University on March 25, 1896. A discussion following this is available in Volume 5.